Our story today is a movie called Another Cinderella Story. Do you remember Cinderella? She was living with her stepmother and her two daughters, and they all treated her harshly. But fate wanted her to meet the prince and dance with him, and from that moment, her life changed. I just wanted to remind you of her before we start our new story. Mary Santiago is a simple, kind-hearted teenage girl, always energetic, with a great positive energy. Still, Dominic and her two daughters always frustrate her with their ugly treatment. Dominic, ballet actress, singer, and performer, is famous and wealthy, and Mary's mother was one of her band members. And when she died, they needed someone to serve them at home. Dominic said that she would take Mary under her wing, but she made her a servant for her and her two daughters, and they began to treat her harshly and violently. Dominic thinks she is an angel and does Mary a favor. At that time, when Mary was living a miserable life working as a maid to Dominic and her two daughters, the famous singer Joey Parker, who was adored by all girls, decided to return to complete his education at the same school that Mary was studying at, so that he could complete his tour around the world. On this occasion, Joey and the production company he worked with decided to make the most crucial dance competition for the female student. The winning student will be lucky, as she will have an excellent opportunity to work with Joey on his new video. And when Mary was sitting amused by the television, she was interrupted by Dominic's irritating voice, asking her to do more work than she had already done. The next day, Mary and her friend Tammy went to school, and Natalia came to her and harassed her for no reason. Minutes later, Joey arrived at the school. Everyone ran up to him, including those who wanted to take a picture with him, and some told him about the party and urged him to come. While Joey was entering school on the way to class, Mary suddenly appeared. He bumped into her, and what was in her hand fell, and at this moment their eyes met. But he remained firmly in place and didn't help her. And at the end of the day, there was a dance session that Joey himself attended, and he taught them some of the movements he uses in his dance. But Mary was not with them in the same room. She was in the adjoining room, separate between the two spaces by transparent glass that appeared in the hall like a mirror, and she could see them from inside. She danced with them from her room and imagined that she was dancing with Joey, and therefore she felt happy. But this happiness wasn't complete, because someone messed it up, as it always happened. Do you know who? Yeah, you guessed it. It's Dominic. She called her and asked her to bring things from the supermarket, which is unbearable. Anyway, she bought stuff from the supermarket and come home. But at home, too, who? They are Dominic's daughter, and they are both arrogant girls. They have been spying on Mary's stuff, and they found a video of her as a little girl who filmed herself dancing to Joey's song and awkwardly liking him. But she was a kid when she did it. On that day, Dominic had invited Joey to have lunch at her home with her and her family, and Joey and a friend who is his business manager also attended. The point of this invitation was to offer him to cooperate, but he was not all convinced, and neither was his friend. And at that time, Mary appeared carrying food and drink, and when Joey refused to make the song and rising to leave, he bumped again into Mary. The food fell and they fall too. So Dominic got angry with her and asked her to clean everything up. She punished her and took the phone from her. Also, Mary did nothing wrong. Dominic is an unjust woman. On the same day, Tammy called Mary, trying to persuade her to attend Joey's masquerade party. Mary didn't want to go, but she told her that she would try to attend. And when Dominic's two daughters found out, they asked their mother to prevent her from attending, and Dominic promised them that. So she asked Mary to clean the whole house, because she's going to have a party tomorrow. Mary said, I cleaned the whole floor today. And Dominic said, but you didn't clean my bedroom. Dominic's bedroom was a big garbage dump. You can't imagine the smell of this filthy room. So Mary called her friend Tammy and told her she couldn't go to the party because Dominic asked me to clean her room, and I guess I can't finish it before the party starts. Mary started cleaning the bell rang. It was Tammy, and she brought two dresses for them. Mary said, didn't I tell you that I couldn't go because of what Dominic did to me? Surprisingly, Tammy brings a cleaning car with 3 Chinese workers and tell her that they will finish cleaning the whole house before midnight. Mary and Tammy went to the masquerade ball, and the moment she entered the party, everyone was looking at her, even Joey. But no one knew who she was because the party was masquerade, of course, you know. She and Tammy went to have some juice, and Joey and his friend liked them. though they didn't know who they were. At this point, Joey's friend walked over to them and took Timmy to the dance floor. They danced together and Joey tried to talk to Mary. After unsuccessful attempts by Joey to open a conversation with her, he asked her to dance with him. After hesitation, Mary agreed and first went to the DJ and gave him a song player to prepare the song they would dance to. They had harmony. After they had finished dancing, Joey took off his mask and she knew it was Joey, but it was almost midnight and she said to him, "I must go now." And when she was moving fast, her instrument of her songs fell to the floor and she could not carry it and walked home before midnight. Joey had nothing to indicate this girl other than her audio player. So Joey asked the manager to say on the loudspeaker, he is looking for the owner of this song player, and if this girl among you, come and tell us the most important 4 songs on him to make sure that she was the girl. Timmy asked Mary to come back and say to him that she was the owner of the music player, but Mary refused and said he would surely change his mind if he knew that I was that girl. But unfortunately, Dominic's daughters heard them, and when she came home, they threatened her and said to her, "We knew that you were the one who danced with Joey at the party, but if you try to tell him, we will expose you by uploading your video on YouTube." And they went to her room and began searching to find the playlist. And at last one of them found it. She ran to Joey and said to him she is the playlist owner. He answered with astonishment and disbelief, but despite that, he said to her, "We must dance first until he's sure that it is her. She doesn't know how to dance, and neither does her sister." And one by one she tried to dance, but their dance was so strange that the students of the school laughed at them and they photographed them too. Timmy encouraged her friend Mary and urged her to go and told him it was she. And at last Timmy persuaded her, so Mary gathered her courage, and when she went to him, she remembered what she had looked like when he saw her with Dominic and didn't give her a chance to speak because he thought she was like Dominic and her daughter's strange behavior. He embarrassed her and said to her, "I must go now." And it was unfortunate. On this day, Dominic had a party in her house and Joey's friend attended the party. When he entered, he could remember Timmy, Mary's friend, by her hair, and he reminded her of himself at the masquerade party and told her Joey would go crazy until he knew who the girl who was with you at the party. She was pleased and she said to him, "I will call her. She's here." So he called Joey and said to him, "Come quickly. I found the girl you were looking for at the party." When Joey came, Timmy asked Mary to go to him and introduce herself to him. While Mary was heading to Joey and saying a word, Dominic's 2 daughters play her video in the TV, and Mary was embarrassed and ran up to her room. Still, after a few moments, she gathered her strength and put on a beautiful dress. She played the song that she danced to at the masquerade party, and when Joey heard it, he ran to her and knew that she was the one he was looking for. And since then, Mary and Joey are friends. After a while, Mary was accepted into the Academy of Dance, and Mary was pleased. They were supposed to call her to let her know the exam date. Joey offered to help her with training. At this time, Dominic was traveling, but before she traveled, the Academy of Dance called her as Mary's guardian and asked her whether Mary would attend the exam or not. Dominic said Mary will not be able to come because her legs are broken. Unfortunately, her feet are fragile like chicken legs. And the next day, Dominic left and Joey went to Mary's house to train her, but they found too many a to-do list, which Dominic had left to Mary, so they couldn't train. But Joey said to her, "Don't worry, we are going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone." They began to complete the task and they clean and organize the house, and at the same time they practiced dancing, and they were very amused. But Dominic's daughter and their friend Natalie were not happy, so they decided to spoil Joey's relationship with Mary. So they sent a bouquet of roses to Mary as if it was from Joey, and wrote on the card, "Meet me at home in the middle of the night for an important matter." Mary went to his house, but there was a surprise. She found Natalie with Joey in his place, and when Mary saw them, she collapsed and went home in shock. It was Natalie who broke into Joey's house, but when he couldn't convince her to go, he kicked her out. In the end, they managed to separate Joey and Mary. When Dominic returned, she made matters worse and told her that she couldn't go to the dance academy because, as she claimed, there was a mistake in their selection. so they sent a letter of rejection. And the news was like a thunderbolt that fell on her. And the next day, Joey went to talk to her and didn't know that she was angry, and found her saying to him, "Our relationship is over." And she said to him, "You have been pitying me. That's why you wanted to be my friend." And until this moment, he didn't understand anything. And she said to him, "You wanted to have fun with me until you found someone better than me and left me for her. And of course I wouldn't mind, because I was lucky that a famous person like you befriended me. Right? I used to think that you are different from others, but you are like them." And she walked, leaving him in shock, not knowing what to do. However, he and his companion went to her friend Timmy to understand what happened, and after attempts, he learned from her that she knew that he had cheated on her with Natalie. He told her that nothing of that happened. "She was the one who entered my house without me knowing." She said to him, "Mary will not go to the dance academy because they suddenly changed their mind, and she will remain at Dominic's house." He said to her, "Don't worry, we will make them think again. I am Joey Barker." Timmy and Joey's friend got in the car and drove to Mary's house. They asked her to wear beautiful clothes and to go with them, and she will not regret it. Mary agrees after great arguing from Timmy. But when she finds out she is going to the Joey contest, she is surprised, and she said to them, "I have stopped dancing forever. Why did you bring me here?" Timmy said, "Let's go and trust me." She and Timmy entered, then the dance competition began, and all the contestants began to dance in front of the jury, and the judges began to evaluate them in order to announce the winner at the end of the competition. Mary was not one of the contestants, and when the contestants finished their show and the audience learned about this, the audience asked for another show. This time Joey went up on stage, and in the middle of the dance, he stopped and said, "The show will not be completed unless someone special be beside me. Do you know who he is? It's Mary." Mary? Mary? Where did Mary go? Moreover, he continued to search for Mary, and Mary was preparing to go home. And before she went, she heard the crowd calling her, and Joey challenged her to provoke her to go up with him on the stage, and in the end, he succeeded. And Mary climbed the stage, and they kept challenging each other with thumb moves. Then they completed the show. At the end of the show, the judges chose Mary, the best contestant. And there was an attendee from the dance academy who saw what happened, and he wanted to talk to her and said, "You are beautiful, though your legs are broken." Dominic was embarrassed and looked away. Then Mary got a free scholarship from the academy, and she and Joey traveled to spend their lives together. And so, our story ended. We hope you like it, and subscribe to our channel.